Imagine a bright, sunny day. The kind where the sun shines so warm you can feel it on your face. In a little neighborhood, everything looks peaceful. Kids are running around, laughing and playing tag in the yards. Birds are chirping happy songs from the trees. Flowers bloom in every color: red, yellow, purple, making the street look like a picture from a storybook. It's the kind of place where you'd think nothing weird ever happens. But guess what? Something weird is about to happen. And it all starts with a guy named Jake. Jake is new here. He just moved into a small house with white walls and a red door. It's not a fancy house, but it's cozy, with a little porch where he likes to sit. Jake's the kind of guy everyone likes right away. He's got a big smile, messy brown hair, and he's always wearing a blue baseball cap. When he walks by, he waves at people and says, "Hi," in a friendly way. Kids wave back. Old ladies smile at him. Even the dogs wag their tails when he's around. Jake keeps to himself most of the time, but he's nice. He doesn't cause trouble. He just wants to live his quiet life in his new home. But not everyone likes Jake. Nope. Across the street, there's a lady named Karen. And Karen? She's a big deal around here. She's the president of the HOA. That's the group that makes rules for the neighborhood, like what color your house can be or how tall your grass can grow. Karen loves rules. She loves them so much she acts like she's the queen of the street. Her house is perfect. The grass is always cut just right. Her flowers are lined up in neat rows. She even has a little sign in her yard that says, "Best Lawn Award." Karen walks around with her head held high, like she's better than everyone else. And she's always watching. Always looking for something to complain about. Now, Jake. He's only been here a week, but Karen's already decided she doesn't like him. Maybe it's because his mailbox is a little crooked. Or maybe it's because he parked his truck on the street one time instead of in his driveway. Karen doesn't say it out loud, but you can tell by the way she glares at him. Her eyes get all squinty, and her lips turn into a thin line. She's got her mind made up. Jake is trouble. Big trouble. Even though he hasn't done anything wrong. Here's where the fun starts. Jake has a neighbor named Mr. Tim. Mr. Tim is an old guy with gray hair and a loud laugh. He's nice, too, and he's got a cat. Not just any cat, a fluffy orange cat named Muffin. Muffin is the softest, roundest cat you've ever seen. His fur is bright like an orange crayon, and his eyes are big and green. Muffin doesn't stay in Mr. Tim's yard all the time. Oh no. Muffin likes to explore. He wanders around the neighborhood, chasing butterflies or napping in the sun. Everyone knows Muffin. The kids pet him. The grown-ups say, "Oh, there's Muffin again." He's like the neighborhood mascot. On this sunny day, Muffin decides to visit Jake's yard. He flops down right in the middle of the grass, stretches out his paws, and starts purring. Loud. Like a little motor. Jake's sitting on his porch, drinking a glass of lemonade, when he sees Muffin. He smiles. "Hey, little buddy," he says. Muffin looks up, blinks, and keeps purring. It's no big deal. Just a cat hanging out. Happens all the time, right? Wrong. So wrong. Because Karen sees it. She's standing at her window, peeking through her fancy white curtains. Her eyes lock onto Muffin like he's a monster. A fluffy, purring monster. Her face turns red. Her hands clench into fists. She mutters something under her breath, probably something mean. And then, she can't take it anymore. She throws open her front door and storms out. Karen marches across the street like she's on a mission. Her shoes click-clack on the pavement. Her arms swing fast. She's wearing a bright pink shirt and big sunglasses, and her hair is puffed up like she just got it done at the salon. She stops right at the edge of Jake's yard and points at Muffin. "That cat," she yells. "That cat's a menace." Her voice is loud enough that a couple of kids down the street stop playing to look over. "It's ruining my perfect lawn vibes." Jake looks up from his lemonade. He's confused. "Huh," he says. He glances at Muffin, who's just lying there, licking a paw. "What's wrong with the cat?" he asks. His voice is calm, like he's talking about the weather. Karen's not calm. Not even a little. "It doesn't belong here," she snaps. "This yard is a mess already, and now you've got that thing making it worse. She waves her arms around like Muffin's some kind of criminal. Jake tilts his head. It's not my cat, Karen, he says. It's Mr. Tim's. And he's just sitting there. Chill out. Chill out. Oh no. That's the wrong thing to say to Karen. Her eyes get even squintier. Her face gets even redder. Chill out, she repeats, like it's the most outrageous thing she's ever heard. I will not chill out. This is my neighborhood. I make the rules. And that cat is breaking them. She's shouting now, loud enough that a dog down the street starts barking. Muffin looks up, yawns, and goes back to napping. He doesn't care. But Karen? She cares a lot. Jake shrugs. He takes another sip of his lemonade. Okay, he says, real slow. It's just a cat, though. He's not mad. He's not even annoyed. He's just sitting there, watching her like she's putting on a show. And maybe she is. Because Karen's not done. Not by a long shot. She pulls her phone out of her pocket. It's one of those big phones with a sparkly case. She holds it up like it's a weapon. If you won't do something about this, she says, I will. She starts tapping on the screen, her fingers moving fast. Jake raises an eyebrow. What are you doing? He asks. Karen smirks. It's a mean smirk, like she's about to win a game. I'm calling 911, she says. This is an emergency. Jake almost drops his lemonade. Wait, what? He says. You're calling the police? Over a cat. He's not yelling, but you can tell he thinks this is nuts. Because it is nuts. Yes. Karen says, nodding hard. That cat's a danger. It's trespassing. And you're letting it happen. She presses the call button and holds the phone to her ear. Hello? Yes, 911? I need help right now, she says. Her voice is high and squeaky. There's a wild animal in my neighbor's yard, and he's doing nothing about it. Jake stares at her. His mouth opens a little, like he can't believe what's happening. Muffin rolls over, showing his fluffy belly to the sun. The birds keep chirping. The kids down the street go back to playing. But Karen? She's on a roll. Hurry, she tells the 911 person. This is serious. Send someone fast. Jake leans back in his chair. He shakes his head, just a tiny bit. Wow, he says, so quiet you almost can't hear it. This is crazy. And it is. Calling 911 over a cat? A cat that's just sitting there, purring. It's the wildest thing ever. But here's the thing, Karen doesn't know it yet, but something even crazier is coming. Something she's not ready for. Something that's going to turn this whole sunny day upside down. What's going to happen next? Why is Jake so calm? Does he know something Karen doesn't? You'll find out soon. But for now, picture this, a quiet neighborhood, a fluffy cat, a mad lady with a phone, and a guy who's just watching it all happen. It's the start of something big. Something really, really big. Let's zoom in on that sunny afternoon. The sky is blue, not a single cloud anywhere. It's the kind of blue that makes you want to stare at it forever. Down on the street, the houses are all different. Some are yellow, some are green, some have big windows, some have little ones. Jake's house is the one with the red door. It's got a small yard with green grass, not perfect like Karen's, but nice enough. There's a wooden chair on his porch, painted white, and that's where he's sitting now. His lemonade glass is sweaty from the ice, dripping little drops onto the porch floor. Across the street, Karen's house is like a castle. Well, not a real castle, but it feels that way. Her grass is so green it almost looks fake. She's got a little white fence around her yard, and every flower is in its place: red roses, yellow daisies, pink tulips. There's a birdhouse hanging from a tree, painted to match her house. Everything's perfect. Too perfect, maybe. Karen's always out there with her watering can or her clippers, making sure not a single leaf is out of line. The neighbors joke about it sometimes. Karen's lawn could win a prize, they say. And it has. That Best Lawn Award sign? She got it last year, and she's proud of it. Really proud. Jake doesn't care about lawns. He's not here to win awards. He just wants a quiet place to live. He moved here because it's close to his job. He works at a store downtown, selling tools and stuff. He's got a beat-up old truck, blue with a little rust on the side, and he parks it wherever there's space. Karen hates that truck. The first day he moved in, she marched over and said, "You can't park that thing on the street. It's an eyesore." Jake just nodded and said, "Okay, I'll move it tomorrow." He did, but Karen still glares at it every time she sees it. Today, though, it's not about the truck. It's about Muffin. Let's talk about Muffin some more, because he's important. Muffin's not a skinny cat. Nope. He's big and round, like a fluffy pillow with legs. His orange fur sticks out in all directions, especially when he's been rolling in the grass. His tail is long and bushy, and he swishes it when he's happy. Right now, he's happy. He's sprawled out in Jake's yard, right near the edge where the grass meets the sidewalk. His paws are up in the air, and he's purring so loud you can hear it from the porch. Jake likes Muffin. He's seen him around before. Mr. Tim, the neighbor, lives 2 houses down. His house is gray with a big oak tree in the front. Mr. Tim's always sitting on his porch, too, reading a newspaper or sipping coffee. Sometimes he calls out, "Muffin, you rascal. Where you off to now?" But he doesn't mind when Muffin wanders. "Cats do what they want," he says with a laugh. And Muffin sure does. This isn't the first time Muffin's been in Jake's yard. Yesterday, he was here, chasing a little bug. The day before that, he napped under Jake's truck. Jake doesn't mind. He thinks cats are cool. He even tossed Muffin a piece of chicken once, and Muffin gobbled it up like it was the best thing ever. So today, when Muffin shows up, Jake's not surprised. He's just happy to have some company. But Karen? She's not happy. Not one bit. Let's go back to her storming across the street. She's fast. Her pink shirt is so bright it almost glows in the sun. Her sunglasses are perched on her nose, and her hair bounces with every step. She's got a look on her face like she's about to fight a dragon. But it's not a dragon, it's a cat. A sleepy, fluffy cat who doesn't even know she's mad. She stops at the edge of Jake's yard and plants her hands on her hips. "You," she says, pointing at Jake. "You need to get that cat out of here." Her voice is sharp, like a teacher yelling at a kid who forgot their homework. Jake looks up. He's got his baseball cap pulled low, so you can just see his eyes. "It's not my cat," he says again. "It's Mr. Tim's." "I don't care whose it is," Karen says. "It's in your yard. That makes it your problem." She's waving her arms now, like she's trying to scare Muffin away just by moving. Muffin doesn't move. He blinks at her, slow and lazy, then closes his eyes again. Purr, purr, purr. Karen's face twists up like she just ate a sour lemon. "Look at it," she says. "It's ruining everything. My lawn vibes are perfect, and that cat's making a mess." Jake looks at his yard. It's not a mess. The grass is a little long, sure, but it's green. There's no trash, no weeds, nothing bad. Muffin's just lying there, not digging or scratching or anything. "I don't see a mess," Jake says. He's still calm. His voice is soft, like he's talking to a friend. He's just chilling. "Chilling," Karen says. She sounds like she can't believe it. "Chilling. This is not okay. This is my neighborhood, and I say what's okay." She's getting louder. A lady walking her dog down the street stops to stare. A kid on a bike slows down to watch. Karen doesn't notice. She's too busy being mad. "That cat's a menace," she says again. "It's trespassing. It's breaking the rules." Jake tilts his head. "What rules?" he asks. He's not being mean. He really wants to know. Karen huffs. "The HOA rules," she says. "No animals running loose. No messes in the yards. You're new here, so maybe you don't know, but I'm in charge. And I say that cat has to go." Jake takes a long sip of his lemonade. The ice clinks in the glass. He sets it down on the porch railing and looks at Karen. "Okay," he says. "But it's not my cat. What do you want me to do? Pick it up and throw it?" He's joking a little, but Karen doesn't laugh. Her eyes get wide. Don't you dare touch it, she says. You'll just make it worse. Now Jake's really confused. So you want it gone, but I can't touch it, he says. That's tricky. He's still not mad. He's just sitting there, one leg crossed over the other, watching her. Karen stomps her foot. Don't get smart with me, she says. I'll handle this myself. And that's when she pulls out her phone. It's a big moment. The phone sparkles in the sunlight. She holds it up like it's magic. If you won't fix this, she says, I'll get someone who will. She starts dialing. Tap, tap, tap. Her fingers are fast. Jake watches her, his eyebrows going up. Who you calling? He asks. 911. Karen says, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. Jake's jaw drops. Not a lot, just a little. The police, he says. For a cat. Karen nods. Yes, she says. This is an emergency. That cat's a danger to everyone. She's serious. Dead serious. Jake looks at Muffin. Muffin's licking his paw again, not a care in the world. A danger. Jake says. He's just sitting there. It doesn't matter. Karen says. It's not supposed to be here. And you're letting it happen. She presses the call button. The phone rings. Jake leans forward in his chair, just a bit. Wow, he says. This is wild. And it is. Karen's on the phone now. Hello? 911? Yes, I need help, she says. There's a wild animal in my neighbor's yard. It's an emergency. Jake can't believe it. He shakes his head, just a tiny shake. He's still calm, though. Too calm, maybe. Like he's not surprised. Like he's seen crazy stuff before. Karen keeps talking. Yes, it's a cat, she says. A big, orange cat. It's trespassing. Send someone quick. She's pacing now, back and forth, her shoes clicking on the sidewalk. Muffin yawns. The sun keeps shining. And Jake? He just watches. The sun is still shining bright over the little neighborhood. It's a warm day, the kind where you can hear kids laughing and playing down the street. Birds are chirping in the trees, and a soft breeze makes the leaves wiggle. Jake's sitting on his porch, rocking back and forth in his white wooden chair. He's got a tall glass of iced tea in his hand. The ice cubes clink against the glass every time he takes a sip. His blue baseball cap is pulled low over his eyes, and he's watching something wild happen right in front of him. Across the street, Karen's going crazy. She's holding her sparkly phone up to her ear, talking to 911 like it's the most important call she's ever made. Yes. Hello. There's a wild animal trespassing in my neighbor's yard, she shouts. Her voice is loud and squeaky, like a whistle that won't stop. It's a danger to the whole neighborhood. You need to do something about it. She's pacing back and forth on the sidewalk, her pink shirt glowing in the sunlight. Her big sunglasses slip down her nose a little, but she pushes them back up with one finger. She's mad. Really, really mad. Jake watches her from his porch. He's got one leg crossed over the other, and his iced tea glass is resting on his knee. He's trying hard not to laugh. Inside his head, he's thinking, this lady's nuts over a cat. Because that's what this is all about. Muffin, the fluffy orange cat. Muffin's still lying in Jake's yard, stretched out in the grass like he owns the place. His paws are up in the air, and he's purring so loud you can hear it from 10 feet away. Muffin doesn't look wild. He doesn't look dangerous. He looks like a big, soft pillow with fur. But Karen? She's acting like he's a tiger or a bear or something scary. Karen keeps throwing mean looks at Jake. Her eyes are all squinted, and her lips are pressed tight together. She's mad at Muffin, sure, but she's even madder at Jake. While she's yelling into the phone, she starts muttering stuff under her breath. New people like you don't belong here, she says, just loud enough for Jake to hear. You don't follow the rules. You don't care about this neighborhood. Her voice is sharp, like she's scolding a kid who broke something. She's pointing at him now, waving her free hand in the air. You're trouble. I knew it the second you moved in. Jake doesn't say anything back. He just sits there, sipping his iced tea. The cold drink feels good on this hot day. He's wearing a plain gray t-shirt and jeans, nothing fancy. He looks like a regular guy, just some dude who moved into a little house with a red door. But Karen's acting like he's a criminal. Like he's done something terrible just by sitting on his porch and letting Muffin hang out in his yard. It's silly. Really silly. Trouble. Over a cat? Jake doesn't get it. Here's the thing, though, Jake's not mad. Not even a little. You'd think he'd be annoyed, right? I mean, Karen's calling the police on him over something that's not even his fault. Most people would yell back. They'd say, "Hey, leave me alone," or "You're being ridiculous." But not Jake. He's calm. Too calm, maybe. He's just rocking in his chair, watching her like she's a show on TV. Every once in a while, he takes a sip of his tea. Clink, clink, go the ice cubes. He's got this tiny little smile on his face, not a big grin, just a small curve at the corners of his mouth. It's like he's hiding something. Like he knows something Karen doesn't. But what? What's he thinking? Karen's too busy being loud to notice that smile. She's still on the phone, talking fast. Yes, it's a cat, she tells the 911 person. A big, orange cat? It's wild. It's trespassing. And my neighbor, he's doing nothing about it? She's walking in circles now, her shoes clicking on the pavement. Click clack, click clack. Her hair bounces with every step. She's so worked up that a couple of neighbors start peeking out their windows. Down the street, a lady named Mrs. Lopez opens her front door a crack to see what's going on. Two kids on bikes stop riding and stare. Everyone's wondering, what's Karen yelling about now? Jake sees the neighbors looking. He gives a little wave to Mrs. Lopez, like everything's fine. She waves back, confused. Jake's not worried. He's not scared. He's just chilling, like Muffin. Speaking of Muffin, the cat's still in the yard. He rolls over onto his side, showing off his fluffy belly. The sun makes his orange fur shine like fire. He's not bothered by Karen's shouting. Not one bit. He's just doing his cat thing, napping, purring, being cute. But Karen's not letting it go. She keeps going, louder and louder. Send someone quick, she tells the 911 person. This guy's trouble. He's breaking all the rules. She's pointing at Jake again, her finger shaking a little because she's so mad. I'm the HOA president, and I say this is an emergency. Her voice is so high-pitched now it sounds like a siren. Jake tilts his head, listening. Trouble. Over Muffin the cat? It's the most ridiculous thing he's ever heard. But it's about to get wilder. Way wilder. Let's slow down for a second and look at what's happening. Karen's on the phone, freaking out. She's saying stuff like wild animal and neighborhood safety, but it's just a cat. A fluffy, lazy cat who's not hurting anyone. Jake's sitting there, calm as can be, sipping his tea. And the neighbors? They're starting to watch, like this is a big show. It's funny, right? But it's also tense. Because Karen's serious. She really thinks this is a big deal. And Jake? He's not fighting back. He's just waiting. For what? That's the question. Let's talk about Karen some more. She's not tall, but she acts like she's the biggest person around. Her pink shirt has little flowers on it, and her sunglasses are huge, covering half her face. She's got blonde hair, all puffed up like she spent an hour fixing it. She's the kind of lady who always has something to say. If your grass is too long, she'll tell you. If your trash can's out too early, she'll knock on your door. She's the HOA president, and she loves it. She loves making rules. She loves telling people what to do. And she hates when things aren't perfect. Jake's not perfect, according to Karen. He's new. He's got a crooked mailbox. His truck's old and rusty. And now, there's a cat in his yard. To Karen, that's a crime. A big one. She's muttering again, stuff like, people like him ruin everything. He doesn't fit here. He doesn't belong. She's not just mad about Muffin, she's mad about Jake. She's decided he's the enemy. And she's not going to stop until she wins. Jake hears her muttering. He's got good ears. But he doesn't react. He doesn't frown or roll his eyes or anything. He just keeps sipping his tea. Clink, clink. That little smile stays on his face. It's weird, right? Why isn't he mad? Why isn't he yelling back? Most people would. If someone called you trouble and got the police involved over a cat, you'd probably say something. But Jake doesn't. He's quiet. Too quiet. It's like he's got a secret. Like he's waiting for something big to happen. Karen's still shouting into the phone. Yes, he's just sitting there, she says. He won't do anything. He's letting this animal run wild. She's waving her arms now, both of them, even though the 911 person can't see her. This is unacceptable. I want someone here right now. She's so loud that a dog starts barking a few houses down. Woof, woof, woof. The kids on bikes giggle. Mrs. Lopez shakes her head and closes her door. But Karen doesn't care. She's in her own world, a world where Muffin's a monster and Jake's the bad guy. Jake looks at Muffin. The cat's licking his paw now, slow and careful. Jake chuckles just a tiny laugh, so quiet you'd miss it if you weren't paying attention. He's thinking, this is nuts. And it is. Calling 911 over a cat? It's the craziest thing ever. But Karen's not joking. She's dead serious. Hurry, she says into the phone. This is an emergency. I'm not safe with that thing around. Jake leans back in his chair. The wood creaks a little under him. He takes another sip of tea. Clink, clink. He's still smiling. That little smile. What's he smiling about? What's he waiting for? Karen's too busy to wonder. She's pacing faster now, her shoes clicking louder. Click clack, click clack. She's glaring at Jake, then at Muffin, then at Jake again. You think this is funny, she snaps. You won't be laughing soon. Jake doesn't answer. He just shrugs, one shoulder goes up, then down. He's not scared. He's not worried. He's just there. Watching. Waiting. And that's what makes this moment tense. Because something's coming. Something big. You can feel it in the air, like when a storm's about to hit. Karen's yelling, Muffin's purring, and Jake's smiling. It's weird. It's wild. And it's only the beginning. Let's zoom out a bit. The neighborhood's still quiet, mostly. The kids are playing tag again, running between the houses. The birds are singing their happy songs. The sun's shining, making everything look bright and cheerful. But right here, in Jake's yard, it's different. It's like a little war's starting. Karen versus Jake. Karen versus Muffin. And Jake? He's not fighting. He's just sitting there, cool as can be. Karen hangs up the phone. She shoves it back in her pocket and crosses her arms. They're coming, she says, smirking at Jake. The police are on their way. You're in trouble now. She sounds proud, like she's won a prize. Jake nods, real slow. Okay, he says. Just that one word. His voice is soft, like he's talking about the weather. Karen blinks. Okay, she says. That's all you've got. Okay. Jake shrugs again. Yeah, he says. What else am I supposed to say? He takes another sip of tea. Clink, clink. Karen's mouth opens, then closes. She's so mad she doesn't know what to do. You're impossible, she says. You don't care about anything. You don't care about the rules. You don't care about me. Jake looks at her. His eyes are calm, like a still pond. I care, he says. Just not about this. He nods at Muffin. The cat's asleep now, curled up in a ball. Karen's face turns redder than ever. Not about this, she yells. This is everything. This is my neighborhood. I keep it perfect. And you're ruining it. Jake doesn't argue. He doesn't say anything. He just watches her. That little smile stays on his face. It's driving Karen crazy. She stomps her foot. Stop smiling, she says. This isn't funny. But Jake doesn't stop. He can't help it. It's not a big smile, just a tiny one. But it's there. And it's making Karen madder every second. The tension's building. You can feel it. Karen's shouting. Jake's quiet. Muffin's sleeping. And the police? They're coming. Karen said so. What's going to happen when they get here? Will they laugh at her? Will they tell Jake to move the cat? Or is something else going on, something bigger? Jake's too calm. Too relaxed. It's like he's not worried at all. Why not? What does he know? Let's talk about the yard for a minute. It's not big, just a square of grass with a little tree in the corner. The tree's small, with green leaves that flutter in the breeze. The grass is a little long, but it's soft. Muffin's lying near the sidewalk, right where everyone can see him. Jake's porch is a few steps up, with the railing painted white. His red door is closed behind him. Everything's normal. Except for Karen. She's not normal right now. She's a storm all by herself. Karen starts pacing again. They'll be here soon, she says, more to herself than to Jake. They'll see I'm right. They'll fix this. She's nodding, like she's trying to convince herself. Jake watches her. He finishes his tea and sets the empty glass on the railing. Clink. He leans back, hands behind his head. Cool, he says. Just that cool. Like he's talking about a movie, not the police coming to his house. Karen stops pacing. She stares at him. Cool, she says. You think this is cool? Her voice is so loud now that the dog down the street barks again. Woof, woof. Jake nods. Yeah, he says. It's kind of funny. Funny. To Karen, that's the worst thing he could say. Her eyes get huge. Her hands clench into fists. Funny, she yells. You think breaking the rules is funny? You think ruining my neighborhood is funny? Jake doesn't answer right away. He looks at Muffin, then back at Karen. I didn't break any rules, he says. And the cat's not ruining anything. He's just there. His voice is still soft, still calm. Karen shakes her head. You don't get it, she says. You don't understand. This is my job. I keep this place perfect. And you're a problem. Jake tilts his head. A problem, he says. Me. He's not being mean. He's just asking. But Karen takes it the wrong way. Yes, she says. You. Ever since you moved in, things have been wrong. Your truck. Your mailbox. And now this cat? You're trouble, Jake. Big trouble. Jake's smile gets a tiny bit bigger. Not a lot, just a little. Okay, he says again. That's it? Just okay. Karen throws her hands up. Ugh, she says. You're impossible. She turns away from him and starts muttering again. New people. Always the same. No respect. No rules. Trouble, trouble, trouble. Jake hears her. He's still not mad. He's still not arguing. He's just sitting there, watching her pace. The sun's starting to dip a little lower in the sky now. It's not as bright, but it's still warm. The kids down the street are still playing, their voices echoing. The birds are still chirping. Muffin's still purring. And Karen? She's still mad. She turns back to Jake. You'll see, she says. When the police get here, you'll see. They'll take that cat away. They'll tell you to follow the rules. And if you don't, they'll she stops, like she's not sure what they'll do. Jake raises an eyebrow. They'll what? He asks. His voice is curious, not scared. Karen glares at him. They'll deal with you, she says. You can't just do whatever you want. This is my neighborhood. I'm in charge. She's pointing at herself now, her finger jabbing at her chest. Jake nods, slow and easy. Got it, he says. You're in charge. He's not being sarcastic. He's just saying it. But Karen doesn't like it. She doesn't like how calm he is. She doesn't like that smile. You're mocking me, she says. You think I'm a joke? Jake shakes his head. Nope, he says. I don't think that. But Karen's not listening. She's too mad. She's too caught up in her own anger. You'll see, she says again. You'll see. She starts pacing faster. Click-clack, click-clack. Her shoes are loud on the sidewalk. Her arms are swinging. She's like a tornado, spinning around and around. Jake watches the tornado. He's still in his chair, still relaxed. He's not moving. He's not talking much. He's just there. And that's what's so weird. Why isn't he mad? Why isn't he worried? The police are coming. Karen's calling him trouble. She's yelling about rules and cats and neighborhood safety. But Jake? He's acting like it's no big deal. Like it's just another sunny day. The tension's thick now. You can feel it. Karen's shouting. Jake's quiet. The neighbors are watching. And something's coming. Something wild. Something that's going to change everything. What is it? Why's Jake so calm? What's he hiding? You'll find out soon. But for now, it's just him, Karen, and Muffin the cat. And it's getting crazier every minute. The sun's still hanging in the sky, but it's getting a little lower now. The neighborhood's quiet, except for Karen. She's pacing back and forth in front of Jake's yard, her shoes making a loud click-clack sound on the sidewalk. Her arms are crossed tight, and every few steps, she stops to point at Muffin. Muffin's the fluffy orange cat lying in Jake's grass, and to Karen, he's not just a cat, he's a problem. A big problem. Look at him, she yells, jabbing her finger toward Muffin like he's a bank robber who just stole all her money. He's ruining everything. Jake's still on his porch, sitting in his white wooden chair. He's rocking back and forth, real slow, like he's got all the time in the world. His blue baseball cap is pulled low, shading his eyes. He's not sipping his iced tea anymore, the glass is empty, sitting on the railing with a few melted ice cubes inside. Now, he's petting Muffin. The cat wandered up to the porch a minute ago, rubbing against Jake's legs and purring loud. Jake's hand moves slow over Muffin's soft fur, scratching behind his ears. Muffin loves it. His green eyes close, and his purr gets even louder, like a little engine. Karen sees this, and it makes her madder than ever. Her face turns red, almost as red as Jake's front door. You're encouraging it, she screeches, her voice so high it sounds like a whistle. You're making it worse. She's waving her arms now, big wild swings, like she's trying to scare Muffin away just by moving. But Muffin doesn't care. He's too busy enjoying Jake's pets. Jake looks up at Karen and shrugs, one shoulder goes up, then down. He's just a cat, he says, calm as always. He likes me. Likes you. Karen says, like it's the most ridiculous thing she's ever heard. He shouldn't be here at all. He's breaking the rules. And you're letting him. She's pointing at Jake now, her finger shaking because she's so worked up. Jake tilts his head, just a little. What rules? He asks. His voice is soft, like he's asking about the weather. Karen huffs, loud and dramatic. The HOA rules, she snaps. No loose animals. No messes. You're new, so you don't know, but I'm the president. I say what happens here. Jake nods, real slow. Okay, he says. Just that one word. He keeps petting Muffin, his hand sliding down the cat's fluffy back. Karen's eyes get wide. Okay, she yells. That's all you've got. Okay. She stomps her foot, and her shoe makes a loud thump on the pavement. This isn't okay. This is an emergency. I called 911, and they're coming. You'll see. She's pacing again, faster now, her pink shirt flapping in the breeze. Click-clack, click-clack. She's waiting for the cops to show up, and she's sure they're going to fix everything. The minutes tick by. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 3. The sun keeps shining, and the birds keep chirping. Down the street, some kids are still playing, kicking a soccer ball back and forth. Their laughs echo a little, mixing with the sound of Karen's shoes. Jake's just chilling. He's petting Muffin, rocking in his chair, and watching Karen pace. That little smile's still on his face, not big, just a tiny curve. It's like he's not worried at all. Like he knows something's coming, and he's ready for it. But what? What's he waiting for? Neighbors start noticing the noise. Across the street, Mrs. Lopez peeks out her window. Her curtains are yellow, and they wiggle a little as she pushes them aside. She's an older lady with gray hair, always wearing a flowery apron. She squints, trying to see what's going on. Next door to Jake, Mr. Tim Muffin's owner steps onto his porch. He's got a cup of coffee in his hand, and his gray hair sticks up like he just woke up. "What's all the yelling?" he calls out, his voice deep and scratchy. Karen doesn't answer. She's too busy pacing and muttering to herself. Trouble, always trouble, new people, no rules. 2 houses down, a guy named Sam opens his front door. He's tall and skinny, with a red shirt and flip-flops. He leans against the door frame, arms crossed, watching. A lady named Jenny, who lives on the corner, sticks her head out her window. She's got curly brown hair and big glasses. "What's Karen freaking out about this time?" she whispers to her husband, who's inside. He shrugs. "Probably something dumb," he says. Everyone's curious now. They're whispering to each other, peeking out windows, stepping onto porches. The neighborhood's waking up, all because of Karen and her big, loud emergency. Karen doesn't notice the neighbors. She's too focused. She stops pacing for a second and glares at Jake. "You think this is a game," she says. "You think you can just sit there and pet that cat like nothing's wrong?" Jake looks up. His hand still on Muffin's head, scratching gently. "I don't think it's a game," he says. "I just don't see the problem." His voice is calm, like always. Karen's mouth drops open. "No problem," she yells. "That cat's a menace. You're a menace. You're both breaking the rules." Jake shrugs again. "He's not my cat," he says. "He's Mr. Tim's. And he's not hurting anything." He nods toward Muffin, who's now licking his paw, slow and lazy. Karen shakes her head, hard. "That doesn't matter," she says. "He's in your yard. That makes it your fault." She's pointing at him again, her finger like an arrow. Jake smiles just a little bigger now. "Okay," he says. "If you say so." Karen's about to yell more, but then something happens. Something weird. Everyone hears it at the same time, a low rumble, like a car engine. It's coming from down the street. Karen freezes. Jake looks up. The neighbors turn their heads. The kids stop kicking their ball and stare. The rumble gets louder, and then a police car rolls into view. It's white with blue stripes, and its lights are off, no flashing, no siren. It moves slow, cruising down the road toward Jake's house. Karen's face lights up. She claps her hands together, once, loud. "Ha," she says. "They're here. I won." She's grinning now, a big smug grin, like she's the smartest person in the world. She's sure the cops are going to back her up. She's sure they're going to tell Jake he's wrong, take Muffin away, and make everything perfect again. She runs toward the street, her shoes clicking fast. Click-clack, click-clack. "Over here," she calls, waving her arms. "It's this guy. Arrest him. He's breaking every rule." But then here's the weird part: another car rolls up behind the police car. This one's different. It's not a cop car. It's just a plain black car, no markings, no lights. The windows are dark, so dark you can't see inside. It stops right behind the police car, quiet and still. Karen doesn't notice it at first. She's too excited about the cops. But Jake? He sees it. His eyes flick to the black car, and that little smile of his gets bigger. Not a lot, just a tiny bit. "What's that about?" The police car stops at the curb, right in front of Jake's yard. 2 officers step out. One's tall with short black hair, wearing a blue uniform with a shiny badge. The other's shorter, with a bald head and sunglasses. They move slow, looking around. Karen's already running up to them, talking fast. "Thank goodness you're here," she says. "This guy Jake, he's the problem. He's got a wild animal in his yard, and he won't do anything about it. Arrest him. He's breaking every rule." The officers don't say anything yet. They're just standing there, hands on their belts. The tall one looks at Karen, then at Jake. The short one adjusts his sunglasses. But here's the thing: they don't move toward Jake. They don't even look at him for long. Instead, they're staring at Karen. Their faces are serious, like they're not here for a cat. Karen doesn't notice. She keeps talking. "See? Look at him. He's petting it right now. He doesn't care. He's trouble." Jake's still on the porch, petting Muffin. The cat's purring loud, his fluffy tail swishing back and forth. Jake's not scared. He's not nervous. He's just sitting there, rocking in his chair, that little smile still on his face. He looks at the cops, then at the black car. Something's up. Something big. But what? Then the door of the black car opens. A guy steps out. He's not a cop, he's wearing a suit. A dark gray suit with a white shirt and a red tie. He's got short brown hair and a serious face. He's holding something in his hand, a little black wallet. He walks over to the officers, slow and steady, his shoes quiet on the pavement. Karen finally sees him. She stops talking for a second, confused. "Who's that?" she says, mostly to herself. She's still grinning, though. She thinks he's here to help her, too. The guy in the suit stops next to the officers. He looks at Karen, then at Jake. Jake's smile gets a tiny bit bigger again. The guy nods, just a small nod, like he's saying hi. The tall officer turns to Karen. "Ma'am," he says, his voice deep and calm. "Are you Karen Thompson?" Karen blinks. "Yes," she says, nodding fast. "That's me. I'm the HOA president. I called you. This guy Jake, he's the one you need to arrest." But the officers don't move toward Jake. The guy in the suit steps forward. He flips open his wallet, showing a shiny badge. "FBI," he says. His voice is low, but it's clear. Karen's grin fades. Her eyes get big. The neighbors gasp. Mrs. Lopez drops her curtain, Mr. Tim spills a little coffee, Sam's jaw drops. "FBI? Here? Over a cat?" Jake keeps petting Muffin. His smile's still there, bigger now. He's not surprised. Not at all. Karen's staring at the guy in the suit, her mouth open. "FBI, she says, her voice shaking. What's going on?" The guy in the suit looks at her, serious as can be. "We've been looking for you," he says. "Karen Thompson." Karen's face goes pale. The officers step closer to her, not Jake. Jake leans back in his chair, petting Muffin like nothing's wrong. That little smile. It's not so little anymore. What's happening? Why's the FBI here? Why's Jake so calm? Something big's coming, something wild. And it's just getting started. Alright, let's dive into the climax and big reveal section of this wild story. I'm going to stretch it out to over 9,000 words and keep the words super simple and easy, perfect for a 4th or 6th grader to understand. I'll pack it with details, build up the excitement, and make the big twists super fun. Here we go. Climax and big reveal. The sun's dipping lower now, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink. The neighborhood's buzzing with tension, like the air before a big storm. Jake's still on his porch, rocking in his white wooden chair. Muffin, the fluffy orange cat, is curled up next to him, purring loud and happy. Jake's petting him, his hand moving slow over Muffin's soft fur. His blue baseball cap is tilted back a little, and that little smile's still on his face. Across the yard, Karen's standing on the sidewalk, her pink shirt glowing in the fading light. She's got her hands on her hips, looking smug as can be. 2 police officers and a guy in a suit are right there with her, and she's sure she's about to win. The tall officer steps forward. He's got short black hair and a shiny badge on his blue uniform. His boots make a soft thump on the pavement. "Ma'am," he says, his voice deep and steady, "are you Karen Thompson?" Karen's head snaps up. She nods fast, her blonde hair bouncing. "Yes," she says, all proud. "That's me. I'm the HOA president. I called you." She's grinning now, a big, wide grin, like she's the hero of the day. She points at Jake, her finger stabbing the air. "It's him. He's the one you need to get. He's breaking all the rules with that cat." Jake doesn't move. He just keeps petting Muffin, his hand sliding down the cat's fluffy back. Muffin's green eyes are half closed, and his purr rumbles like a tiny motor. Jake's watching Karen, but he's not worried. Not one bit. That little smile stays on his face, like he's waiting for something fun to happen. Karen's too busy talking to notice. "See," she says to the officer. "Look at him. He's just sitting there, petting that thing. He doesn't care. Arrest him." But then, something big happens. The guy in the suit steps forward. He's been quiet until now, standing behind the officers with his hands in his pockets. He's wearing a dark gray suit, a white shirt, and a red tie. His shoes are shiny, and his brown hair is neat. He's got a serious look on his face, like he's not here to play games. He pulls one hand out of his pocket and flips open a little black wallet. Inside, there's a shiny gold badge. He holds it up so Karen can see. FBI, he says, his voice low but clear. We've been looking for you. Karen's grin disappears. Her mouth drops open, and her face goes white like all the color just runs away. Her big sunglasses slip down her nose, and she doesn't even push them back up. FBI, she says, her voice small and shaky. What do you mean? She's staring at the guy in the suit, her eyes wide. The neighbors watching from their houses gasp. Mrs. Lopez, peeking out her window, drops her yellow curtain. Mr. Tim, standing on his porch with his coffee, lets out a loud, huh. Sam, the tall guy in the red shirt, steps out onto his lawn, his flip-flops flapping. Jenny, with her curly hair and big glasses, leans out her window and whispers, no way. Jake leans back in his chair. The wood creaks under him. He keeps petting Muffin, his fingers scratching behind the cat's ears. That little smile of his. It's bigger now, not a lot, but you can see it clear as day. He's not surprised. Not scared. He's just sitting there, calm and cool, like he's watching a movie he's seen before. Muffin purrs louder, his fluffy tail swishing back and forth. Jake's eyes flick to Karen, then to the guy in the suit. Something's up. Something huge. The tall officer steps closer to Karen. The short one, with the bald head and sunglasses, moves to her other side. They're both looking at her, not Jake. Karen's starting to shake now, just a little. Wait a minute, she says, her voice getting loud again. This is a mistake. I called you. I'm the good guy here. She's pointing at herself now, her finger jabbing her chest. He's the problem. She swings her arm toward Jake. Him. Jake. He's the one with the cat. He's the trouble. But here's the big twist, the cops don't even glance at Jake. The guy in the suit steps closer to Karen. Karen Thompson, he says, slow and serious, we've been tracking you for months. Karen blinks fast, like she didn't hear him right. Tracking me, she says. What are you talking about? I'm the HOA president. I keep this neighborhood perfect. Her voice is high and squeaky again, like it was when she called 911. The guy in the suit doesn't smile. He doesn't blink. He just keeps talking. You've been scamming people, he says. Taking money with fake HOA fees. Thousands of dollars gone. We've got proof. Karen's face goes from white to red in a flash. What? She yells. That's a lie. I didn't do anything. She's waving her arms now, big wild swings. You've got the wrong person. It's him. Jake. He's the bad guy. The neighbors are going crazy now. Mrs. Lopez opens her window all the way and leans out. Scamming, she says, loud enough for everyone to hear. Mr. Tim sets his coffee cup down on his porch railing and steps closer to the edge. Fake fees, he mutters. Sam's jaw drops so low it looks like it might hit the ground. Jenny's husband joins her at the window, and they're both whispering fast. I knew something was fishy. Jenny says. The kids down the street stop playing and run over to the curb, their soccer ball forgotten. Everyone's watching, eyes wide, mouths open. Jake. He's still chilling. He's petting Muffin like nothing's happening. But that smile, it's growing. And then, the big reveal hits. The guy in the suit looks at Karen and says, we've had someone watching you. Someone close. He turns his head, just a little, toward Jake. Karen follows his gaze. Her eyes land on Jake, sitting there with Muffin, that smile big and bright now. Him, she says, her voice cracking. Jake. The tall officer nods. Jake's not just a neighbor, he says. He's an undercover agent. FBI. He's been here to keep an eye on you. Karen's mouth drops open again. She stumbles back a step, her shoes scraping the pavement. No way, she says. No way. He's just some guy. He's new. He's got a stupid truck and a crooked mailbox. He can't be. But Jake? He finally moves. He sits up straight in his chair, still petting Muffin. Yep, he says, his voice calm and easy. That's me. He winks not at Karen, but at Muffin. Good job, partner, he says to the cat. Muffin purrs louder, like he knows he's part of the team. The neighbors gasp again, louder this time. Mrs. Lopez claps a hand over her mouth. Mr. Tim laughs, a big, booming laugh. Well, I'll be, he says. Sam shakes his head, grinning. Jenny and her husband high-five at the window. The kids cheer, jumping up and down. Cool, one of them yells. Karen's losing it now. This is a mistake, she yells. He's the problem. Not me. He's lying. You're all lying. She's pointing at everyone, the guy in the suit, the officers, Jake, even Muffin. Her face is red and sweaty, and her hair's a mess from all the arm waving. I didn't scam anyone. I'm good. I'm the president. I make the rules. The guy in the suit pulls out a little notebook from his pocket. He flips it open and starts reading. Fake fees for lawn care $500. Fake fines for trash cans $300. Fake charges for paint colors $200. All cash, all to you. 4 months. He looks up at Karen. We've got bank records. We've got witnesses. We've got everything. Karen shakes her head, fast and hard. No, she says. No, no, no. That's not true. The tall officer steps closer. It's over, ma'am, he says. He pulls out a pair of handcuffs from his belt. They're silver and shiny, clinking as he holds them up. Karen's eyes get huge. What are you doing? She yells. You can't do this. I'm not the bad guy. But the officer doesn't listen. He grabs her wrist gentle but firm and snaps one cuff on. Click. Then the other. Click. Karen's hands are stuck together now, and she's pulling at them like she can break free. No, she screams. This is wrong. He's the one. Jake. Jake stands up now. He's not rocking in his chair anymore. He steps to the edge of the porch, Muffin still at his feet. Sorry, Karen, he says, his voice still calm. I've been watching you since I moved in. Every time you yelled about rules, every time you took money, it's all on record. He taps his head, like he's got it all stored up there. You didn't know, but I did. Karen's yelling louder now, her voice echoing down the street. You tricked me. You're a liar. This isn't fair. She's pulling at the handcuffs, her arms jerking. The officers hold her steady, one on each side. The guy in the suit steps back, tucking his notebook away. Let's go, he says to the officers. They start walking Karen toward the police car, her shoes dragging a little on the pavement. The neighbors are cheering now. Mrs. Lopez claps her hands. Good riddance, she yells. Mr. Tim raises his coffee cup like a toast. About time, he says. Sam pumps his fist in the air. Yes, he shouts. Jenny and her husband are laughing, and the kids are running around, pretending to arrest each other. You're under arrest, one yells, giggling. The whole street's alive with noise, cheers, laughs, claps. Jake steps down from the porch. Muffin follows him, his fluffy tail high. Jake kneels down and scratches the cat's chin. You're a star, buddy, he says. Muffin purrs, rubbing against Jake's leg. Jake looks up at the police car. Karen's still yelling as they push her into the back seat. This isn't over. You'll see. I'll be back. The door slams shut, and her voice gets muffled. The tall officer gets in the driver's seat, and the short one slides in next to him. The guy in the suit heads back to his black car. The police car's engine starts with a low rumble. The lights stay off, no flashing, no siren. It pulls away from the curb, slow and steady, taking Karen with it. The black car follows, quiet as a shadow. The neighbors watch it go, still cheering. Jake stands up, brushing his hands on his jeans. He looks around, that smile still on his face. Well, he says, mostly to himself, that's that. But it's not just that. It's huge. Karen's gone caught for scamming everyone. And Jake? He's not just some new guy with a crooked mailbox. He's an FBI agent, sneaky and smart, who's been playing it cool the whole time. That's why he didn't care about Karen's yelling. That's why he smiled when she called 911. He knew. He knew everything. And now, the neighborhood knows, too. The police car rolls away, its engine rumbling low as it takes Karen down the street. The black car with the guy in the suit follows behind, quiet and smooth. Karen's still yelling from inside the police car. You can hear her muffled shouts through the closed windows. This isn't fair. You'll see. I'll be back. But the car keeps going, turning the corner and disappearing out of sight. The neighborhood's buzzing now, like a beehive that just got stirred up. People can't believe what they just saw. Karen's gone. Caught. Done for. And Jake? He's the hero who made it happen. Jake's standing in his yard now, next to the little tree with green leaves. Muffin, the fluffy orange cat, is rubbing against his legs, purring loud and happy. Jake's blue baseball cap is pushed back on his head, and he's got a big smile, not just a little one anymore. His gray t-shirt's a bit wrinkled from sitting in his chair so long, and his jeans have a smudge of dirt from kneeling down to pet Muffin. He looks around at the street, hands in his pockets, taking it all in. The sun's almost down now, turning the sky a mix of orange, pink, and purple. It's pretty, like a painting. The air's cooling off, and a soft breeze rustles the leaves on the trees. Down the street, the kids who were playing tag earlier run over, their sneakers slapping the pavement. "Did you see that?" one yells, a boy with messy black hair and a green shirt. "They took her away." A girl with pigtails nods fast. "Yeah. In handcuffs. Cool." They're jumping up and down, eyes wide with excitement. Neighbors start coming out of their houses. Mrs. Lopez, the lady with the gray hair and flowery apron, steps onto her porch across the street. She's clapping her hands, slow and loud. "Clap, clap, clap. Good job, Jake," she calls out. Her voice is warm, like a grandma's. Next door, Mr. Tim Muffin's owner walks down his steps, still holding his coffee cup. His gray hair's sticking up, and he's grinning big. "Well, I'll be darned," he says. "You're a hero, kid." Sam, the tall guy in the red shirt and flip-flops, jogs over from 2 houses down. "No way," he says, shaking his head. "You got her. Awesome." Jenny and her husband, from the corner house, come out too. Jenny's curly brown hair bounces as she walks, and her big glasses catch the last bits of sunlight. Her husband's got a blue cap on, and he's carrying a soda can. "Jake, you're amazing," Jenny says. "We've been waiting for this." The whole street's alive now, people talking, laughing, clapping. It's like a party's starting right there in Jake's yard. Jake waves at everyone, his hand moving slow and easy. "Thanks," he says, his voice calm like always. "Just doing my job." He kneels down and scratches Muffin's chin. The cat's green eyes close, and his purr gets louder. People start crowding around Jake's yard, stepping onto the grass. It's not a big yard, just a square of green with that little tree, but it's full of folks now. They're all smiling, all excited. Mrs. Lopez walks over, her apron flapping a little. "Jake," she says, "you're a hero. A real hero." She's got a big smile, showing her teeth. Jake stands up, brushing his hands on his jeans. I don't know about that," he says, looking down at his sneakers. "I just wanted to help." But Mrs. Lopez shakes her head. No, she says. "You saved us. Karen's been bossing us around forever." Mr. Tim steps up next. "She's right," he says, his deep voice booming. "That lady's been a pain for years. Fining me for dumb stuff like my fence being too short. Can you believe that?" He laughs, a big, loud laugh, and takes a sip of his coffee. "And she fined me once 'cause my trash can was out 10 minutes early. 10 minutes. He shakes his head, still grinning. "Good riddance, I say." Sam nods fast. "Yeah," he says. "She fined me 'cause my curtains were the wrong color. Yellow," she said, "was too loud. Made me pay $50. He flips his flip-flops off and wiggles his toes in the grass. "I hated that. But I paid 'cause she wouldn't stop yelling." Jenny pipes up next. "Oh, she got us, too," she says. Fined us for planting flowers that weren't on her list. Said purple ones were against the rules. $100 gone. Her husband nods. Yep. She was mean. Real mean. The kids run up closer, crowding around Jake. Did you see her face? The boy in the green shirt says, giggling. She was so mad. The girl with pigtails jumps up and down. And the handcuffs? Click, click. Like in the movies. They're laughing, their voices high and squeaky. Jake chuckles just a little and ruffles the boy's hair. Yeah, he says. It was pretty wild. More people come out. A lady named Beth, who lives 3 houses down, walks over with her dog, a little white one with floppy ears. Karen fined me cause my dog barked once, she says, petting the pup. $20? For one bark. A man named Tom, with a gray beard and a fishing hat, joins in. She got me for my mailbox, he says. Said it was too rusty. $30. Everyone's talking now, sharing stories, their voices mixing together. It's loud, happy, and full of energy. Turns out, Karen's been bossing everyone around for years. Not just bossing, taking their money, too. She'd make up rules, silly ones, and tell people they had to pay fines. Wrong colored curtains. Pay up. Grass too long. Pay up. Dog barking, flowers not right, mailbox rusty, all fines. And where'd the money go? Into Karen's pocket. Thousands of dollars, snatched from the neighbors, all while she acted like the queen of the street. She'd walk around with her puffed up hair and big sunglasses, saying, I'm in charge. Follow my rules. But now, she's done for. Caught. Gone. And the HOA? It's getting a big cleanup, thanks to Jake. Jake finally speaks up. He steps onto his porch so everyone can see him. The crowd quiets down a little, heads turning his way. Hey, everyone, he says, his voice clear but not loud. I couldn't say anything before. I had to wait till we had proof. But it's over now. Karen's not coming back. He pauses, looking around at all the faces: Mrs. Lopez, Mr. Tim, Sam, Jenny, the kids, everyone. She was scamming you. Taking your money. I've been watching her since I moved in. The FBI's got it all: records, papers, everything. She's gone for good. The crowd erupts. Cheers explode like fireworks. Yay, Jake. Mrs. Lopez yells, clapping hard. You're the best. Mr. Tim raises his coffee cup high. To Jake, he shouts. Sam pumps both fists in the air. Yeah, man, he says. Jenny and her husband clap, and the kids start chanting, Jake. 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 Even Beth's little dog barks, wagging its tail fast. It's a big, happy noise, filling the whole street. Jake waves his hands, trying to calm them down. Ah, come on, he says, smiling big. It wasn't just me. The FBI did the hard stuff. I just lived here and watched. But the neighbors don't care. They keep cheering. No way. Sam says. You tricked her. You're awesome. Mrs. Lopez nods. You saved us, Jake. No more fines. No more Karen. Mr. Tim laughs again. And you kept my cat safe? Muffin's a hero, too. Speaking of Muffin, the little cat's still by Jake's feet. He's sitting up now, licking his paw like he's proud of himself. The girl with pigtails runs over with something in her hand, a little piece of chicken from her house. Here, Muffin, she says, holding it out. Muffin sniffs it, then gobbles it up fast, his tail swishing. Good kitty, the girl says, petting him. The boy in the green shirt joins in, scratching Muffin's back. You're a star, Muffin, he says. Muffin purrs louder, loving the attention. He's not just a cat anymore, he's a neighborhood hero, too. The sky's getting darker now, stars poking out one by one. The street lights flick on, casting a soft glow over everyone. People keep talking, their voices happy and loud. No more fake fines. Beth says, hugging her dog. No more yelling about curtains. Sam adds, kicking his flip-flops into the air. No more dumb rules. Jenny says, high-fiving her husband. They're all free now, Thanks to Jake. The HOA is going to change. No more scams, no more Karen. It's a fresh start. Jake sits back down in his chair. He's not the new guy anymore. He's not the guy with the crooked mailbox or the rusty truck. He's the guy who saved the street. People come up to him, one by one, shaking his hand. Mrs. Lopez pats his shoulder. "You're staying, right?" she asks. Jake nods. "Yeah," he says. "I like it here." She smiles big. "Good. We need you." Mr. Tim walks over next. "You're all right, Jake," he says. "And Muffin likes you. That's a win." He winks and heads back to his porch. Sam slaps Jake's hand in a high five. "Epic, man," he says, then runs off to grab his flip-flops. Jenny and her husband stop by. "Thanks, Jake," Jenny says. "You're the best neighbor ever." Her husband nods. "Yeah. Drinks on us sometime." They laugh and walk away, holding hands. The kids run up last. "You're like a spy," the boy says, his eyes huge. "So cool." The girl nods. "Yeah. Like in the movies." "Do you have a secret code?" Jake chuckles. "Nah," he says. "Just a cat." He points at Muffin, who's licking his paws again. The kids giggle and run off, pretending to be agents, sneaking around the yard. By the end of the day, the street's quieting down. People head back to their houses, still smiling, still talking about Jake and Muffin and Karen getting caught. The stars are bright now, twinkling over the little neighborhood. Jake's alone on his porch again, Muffin curled up next to him. He leans back, hands behind his head, looking up at the sky. "Well," he says to Muffin, "we did it." Muffin purrs, soft and steady. Justice is served. Karen's gone, the money's stopped disappearing, and the neighbors are free. Jake's not just some guy anymore, he's their hero. And Muffin? He's the fluffy star who helped make it all happen. The street's safe again, and it's all because of one calm, clever guy and his cat buddy. What a day. The stars are twinkling bright over the little neighborhood now. The sky's all dark, like a big blanket with tiny sparkly dots. Jake's sitting on his porch, rocking in his white wooden chair. Muffin, the fluffy orange cat, is curled up next to him, purring soft and steady. The street's quiet again, no more yelling, no more police cars, no more Karen. Just the sound of crickets chirping and a soft breeze rustling the leaves. It's peaceful. Calm. And after everything that happened today, it feels good. So, what's the lesson here? What can we learn from this crazy day with Jake, Muffin, and Karen? Well, it's pretty cool when you think about it. Sometimes, the loudest person in the room is hiding the most. Think about Karen, she was always shouting, pointing, telling everyone what to do. She acted big and important, like she was the boss of everything. But all that noise? It was covering up something sneaky. She was taking money, making up rules, being mean. The louder she got, the more she had to hide. And then there's Jake. The quiet guy. The one who didn't yell back, didn't fight, didn't make a fuss. He just sat there, sipping his iced tea, petting Muffin, smiling that little smile. You'd think he was just some regular dude, right? But nope, he was the one who changed everything. He was smart, sneaky in a good way, and brave. He didn't need to be loud to be strong. He didn't need to shout to win. He just waited, watched, and let the truth come out. And when it did, boom. Karen was gone, and the neighborhood was free. That's the big thing to remember. Sometimes, the quiet ones are the real heroes. They don't brag or show off, they just do what's right. Like Jake. He moved in with his crooked mailbox and rusty truck, and nobody thought much of him. Karen called him trouble, said he didn't belong. But he proved her wrong, not with words, but with actions. He saved everyone, and he did it without making a big scene. Pretty cool, huh? Let's think about that for a minute. Have you ever met someone loud like Karen? Maybe at school, or in your neighborhood, or even at home. Someone who's always talking, always bossing, always acting like they're the best? Maybe they're not so bad as Karen, maybe they're not stealing money or anything, but sometimes, people who talk the loudest are trying to hide something. Maybe they're scared, or mad, or just want everyone to look at them. And then, there's the quiet ones. The kid who sits in the back of class, not saying much. The neighbor who waves but doesn't chat. The friend who listens more than they talk. Those people? They might surprise you. They might be the ones who do something big when it really counts. Picture this, you're at school, and there's this kid who's always yelling in the lunchroom. "My sandwich is the best," he says, holding it up. "Yours is dumb." He's loud, waving his arms, making everyone look. But then, there's another kid at the table, eating quietly. She doesn't say much, just munches her apple and smiles. One day, the loud kid drops his sandwich on the floor by accident. He starts shouting, "Who did that? Someone tripped me." But the quiet kid. She picks it up, dusts it off, and hands it back to him. "Here," she says, soft and calm. No yelling, no fuss. Just helping. Who's the real star there? The loud kid, or the quiet one who fixed it? Think about it. Or maybe it's at home. Say your little brother's always running around, yelling about his toys. "I've got the coolest car. Look at me." He's loud, zooming it across the floor. But your big sister? She's sitting on the couch, reading a book, not saying a word. Then, one day, your brother's car brakes wheel pops off, and he's crying loud. "It's ruined," he wails. Your sister puts her book down, grabs some glue, and fixes it. "There," she says, handing it back. Quiet, simple, done. She didn't need to shout to be awesome. That's what Jake and Muffin show us. Jake didn't yell at Karen, even when she called the police on him. He didn't fight when she said he was trouble. He just stayed chill, petting his fluffy buddy, waiting for the right moment. And Muffin? That little cat didn't hiss or run or make a fuss. He just sat there, purring, being himself. Together, they were the quiet team that beat the loud bully. Pretty neat, right? So, next time you see someone judging too quick or throwing a fit over nothing, think of Jake and Muffin. Like, maybe there's a kid at the park who's mad 'cause someone's swinging too high. "That's not fair," he yells, stomping his feet. Everyone's looking, and he's making a big deal. But the kid on the swing? She's just swinging, smiling, not saying a word. Who's really right there? The loud kid, or the quiet one enjoying the ride? Or maybe it's a grown-up like a teacher who's mad 'cause someone's pencil broke. "Pay attention," she snaps, loud and sharp. But the kid with the broken pencil just borrows another one, keeps working, stays calm. Who's the winner? The truth always comes out in the end. That's the best part. Karen thought she could yell and boss and hide her sneaky stuff forever. But nope, it caught up with her. Jake didn't have to shout the truth, he just let it show up. The police came, the FBI guy flashed his badge, and bam, Karen's game was over. All her noise couldn't stop it. And Jake's quiet? It won. Every time. Let's imagine more. Say you're playing soccer with your friends. One kid's loud, kicking the ball hard and yelling, "I'm the best. Pass it to me." He's running all over, shouting at everyone. But there's another kid, hanging back, not saying much. He waits, watches, then whoosh, kicks the ball right into the goal when no one's looking. Quiet kid scores. Loud kid's mad, but everyone's cheering for the goal. See? Quiet can be powerful. Or maybe it's your cousin at a family party. She's loud, singing and dancing, telling everyone, "Look at me. I'm so fun." She's jumping around, spilling juice, making a mess. But your uncle? He's sitting in the corner, flipping burgers on the grill, not saying a word. When the food's ready, everyone runs to him, saying, "Yum. Thanks." Quiet uncle's the real hit. Loud cousin's still fun, but who made the day better? That's the lesson. Loud doesn't always mean right. Quiet doesn't always mean weak. Sometimes, the ones who don't talk much are the ones who do the most. Like Jake, watching Karen, waiting for the truth. Like Muffin, just being a fluffy cat, helping in his own way. They didn't need to be loud to be big. So, what about you? Are you loud sometimes? Do you shout when you're mad or excited? That's okay, being loud can be fun. But maybe try being quiet sometimes, too. Watch. Listen. Wait. You might see stuff others miss. You might help someone without making a fuss. You might be the Jake in your own story, sneaky and smart, ready to save the day. And if you meet a Karen in your life, someone loud and bossy, judging too fast, don't worry. Don't yell back. Just be you. Stay calm, like Jake. The truth comes out, always. Maybe it's a kid at school who's mean cause they're jealous. Maybe it's a neighbor who's grumpy cause their day's bad. They can yell all they want, but if you're good and true, you'll shine in the end. What did you think of this story? Did you like Jake and Muffin? Did you laugh when Karen got caught? Tell me in the comments, I want to know. And hey, who's the Karen in your life? Is it a loud kid at school? A bossy cousin? A grumpy teacher? Share it with me, I love hearing your stories. Thanks for sticking with me through this wild ride. It was fun, right? See you in the next one, maybe with more cats, more heroes, and more surprises.